So why is it that we feel like we never have time? Why is it that we're always feeling rushed? I'd like to say that this is fundamentally an issue of not fully seeing karma. When I was working in the corporate industry, uh, very often I would have this really painful experience of being caught off guard. So all of a sudden, my boss would call in and say, "Well, what's the status on this?" And basically, I needed to look at the budget. I needed to look at the schedule. There was some kind of a chart I needed to look at that I hadn't been updating. And all of a sudden, I was asked, and I didn't have the information. And then I feel really rushed. And then I blame things. I blame the busy work. I blame everything. I blame even my boss for not understanding my situation. I would blame all the people who dropped all the emergencies on my lap, and then I would rush into doing this. And I'm sure that you have this experience where it's those days where everybody drops new emergencies on you, where all of a sudden you're caught off guard on all the aspects. And so, in one of these particular days, after I just flushed out the experience and I was processing through what had happened, I just slowed everything down. And I just really slowly started looking at it. And I said, okay, so what is the issue? So I'm supposed to be looking at this chart and update it once a month, and I missed it. I missed it by a week. Why is it that I didn't do this a week ago? And I realized that I didn't do it a week ago because it happens once in a month. It's out of my mind. And I just had this idea that I should just remember that in the beginning of the month. And so I actually scheduled it. And then it happened again. I'm sure that you have this experience. And I scheduled it. I set up an alarm. I put it in the calendar. And what I realized is that when that happened, right around that time, because it was not an actual meeting with someone, but it was an actual notification to myself, of course, somebody was at my desk talking to me. And so, I'm a people person. I put that person as a higher priority. And then I totally forgot about the notification. It's not like the notification keeps tapping me on the shoulder and saying, hey, you didn't take care of me like a person does. And people do that. And so I was like, people keep tapping on you, and that's why you don't forget, because they keep tapping on you, and notification just doesn't do that. So I was like, so the notification, that's actually not good. And so I'm sure that you've had this experience where I said, I am gonna be determined, and the next time someone taps on my shoulder, I'm just gonna tell them, I'm sorry, but I gotta do this. And I decided to take the willpower route. And I felt really good about this. What I didn't realize is that in a month I would forget that I had this willpower determination, because it's been a month. And memory doesn't work like that. And so, being an ingenious engineer, I put in the notification, say no. And that actually did work. That worked much better, because it was in the subject line, say no, and then do this. But the issue is you can't say no to your boss or some of the people who are above you. And so that failed. And so I started looking at what is the issue with this, and I realized that the issue is that I only get to look at this once in a great while, and because of that, it's out of my purview. But this is an important enough stuff where without it, it doesn't move forward. So I actually started adapting something a little different. I started looking at the chart as the data came in. And so typically what happens is once a month, you look at the data, you look at all the data that has accumulated in a month, and then you do it all at once. But I thought, what if I actually do it concurrently as the data comes in little bit by little bit? I'm a tai-chi practitioner after all. I'm supposed to do small things at a time. And so I started just doing it as the data started rolling in. And as the data started rolling in as I do it, by the months came in. So I actually started doing more, almost like several times through the week, whenever the data came in. And as that happened, all of a sudden, when the time was there, the chart was concurrent. Even if I actually missed the whole summary, I could tell my boss, because I was up to, because I was up on it, I could tell oh, actually, last time I checked, which was just a couple days ago, it says here, let me just do a 10-minute thing here and give you the information right now. And I could do it. Most of the time I'd have my laptop there. I could actually just do it right there for the person who was asking me. And all of a sudden, now I'm looking real good. Now, having said that, I don't know whether you can see what I'm talking about, but this is karma. Being able to actually trace it back as far back as you can to the origin point of the real problem. I thought that the issue was people asking me last minute, or God, why is it that the world is made in such a way where everything crashes down to you at the last minute? But what I found is that if you trace back one at a time, as far as you can see, one step at a time, then actually at some point you get to the very origin point, the very cause of the problem, where you get to see what caused the karma. And so this is one of the reasons why our system principle says there's nothing to do, only to see. That's just so you can calm down and just in that very moment see what it is that caused the problem as best as you can tell. And then the next second principle, the opposite side of the coin of the principle is take the next step, no more, no less, and the next step will be revealed to you, right? Now, the issue is, of course, it doesn't necessarily get revealed right then and there. Sometimes it takes a month, like it did with me. But if you systematically go about it, at some point, it completely fixes itself. And this is actually what I've learned over the years, is that it has to be solved at the systematic level. If it's not sustainable on an ongoing basis, then you haven't solved the problem. And if you keep doing this, your entire life starts falling into place and you stop having the effects of karma, because the karma that you've created is good, and we call it dharma. And so if you don't want to rush, start with one area in your life where you're having this until it becomes a part of your life system. And this is the concept of virtual monastery. That's how monasteries were created. I hope you have fun with that, and wish you luck.